reaching for a place where my voice will never reach. Can you hear my crying heart? Reaching for the stars above the skies. My voice will never sound like it used to do. 'Cause I can only cry for her one more night. For her one more night, yeah. For her one more night, yeah. Or I can only cry for her. At the hub we spoke about our future and the dreams to come. Plenty kisses we could miss a count. We are like best friends, even God can deny that. We are a match made by him on a weekend when he was in the mood of making diamonds and many things that I like. And then to the angels who were singing that time, can you hear my crying eyes? Reaching for those stars above the skies. My voice never sound like it used to do. 'Cause I can only cry for her. Can you hear my crying heart? Reaching for the stars above the skies. My voice will never sound like it used to do. 'Cause I can only cry for one more night. Oh, for one more night, yeah. Oh, for one more night, yeah. Or I can only cry for her one more night. Oh, one more night, yeah. One more night. I can only cry for her one more night. Or I can only cry for one more night.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our last workshop for our Women's Month program under the theme Future Proofing Women for Change. But without further ado and wasting any much of time, I'm going to now pass over to Munya Duvera, who is going to talk to the topic of Madam Chair, take the lead. Over to you, Munya.
Super. Thank you so much. I hope you all can hear me. And thank you so much for this opportunity to have this discussion with you around sitting on boards, right? And the opportunities therein around boardship, but also very important for us as Directors Association, and I will formally introduce our organization and what we do, is around our objective as Madam Chair in trying to increase women on boards. And as I go through to tonight's discussion, just to look at what are the opportunities that there are in the board market and how you as women in different professions, entrepreneurship and etc. can find board seats and take the lead on those board seats. Because it's not just about finding a board seat. What we've been saying through our Madam Chair initiative is get the board seat and then be the leader on the board. Because you'll find that out of the different boards that are out there, very few women are chairs of those boards. As you know, the chair is the leader of the board in any type of governance structure. The chair is the leader of the board. And in many organizations, many corporate boards, small business boards, nonprofit boards, we don't have enough women that are chairing those boards. So we came up with this concept of Madam Chair, and furthermore, take the lead in an attempt to drive women to serve on boards, and secondly, as well, to lead on those boards. So my name is Munya Duvera. I am the founder and president of Directors Association, and I will formally kind of give you a background of what Directors Association does, etc. At the end of this discussion, you are free to ask any questions that you may have. I will put up a slide which will kind of guide our discussion as we go along. Let me look for it. Right there it is, found it. I'm going to assume you can see my slide, right? I actually said to myself, I'm going to stop asking people if they can see the slide, but there was a time when I actually went through, I think, a good 15 minutes, and I'm saying things and I'm pointing out things, and then everyone is like, what are you pointing to? So I do see a thumbs up, super. Okay, so Directors Association, we are an association of directors. Just a bit of background on Directors Association. We are an association of directors. The term directors does not only speak to company directors. As you know, the word or term directors is the legal term for an individual that serves on a company board. If you're serving on a non-profit board, you are referred to as an office bearer. If you're serving on a trust, you're referred to as a trustee. However, we kind of loosely use the word directors, right? Anytime you're serving on a board, people just say director. However, the term director is specifically for people that are serving on a company board. So our name as Directors Association kind of started as a focus on company boards. However, we've expanded into the larger governance market, other types of organizational governance structures and boards, such as trusts, such as NPOs, state-owned companies, et cetera, et cetera. So Directors Association, we are an association of individuals that are serving on boards or aspiring to serve on boards. We have members that are serving on JSE listed company boards, members that are serving on state-owned company boards, small business company boards, nonprofits, and whatever the case is. And our core mandate really is to develop these individuals in everything governance related, right? Provide them with competencies, provide them with knowledge, training, placement opportunities. Because at the end of the day, what you're really looking for if you enter the market to serve as a non-executive director is you're looking for placement, you're looking for opportunities. So we also facilitate that for our members and other host of benefits that we provide, which I can touch on later on. Essentially, we operate in the governance market, the corporate governance market. We do board setups. Some of you might be entrepreneurs with your own businesses. At some point, you might decide to set up a proper board structure. In that, we're one of the organizations that may assist you in setting up your board, right? The policies, the board committees, the individuals that are going to serve on that board, etc. Board placement, as I already spoke of earlier on. Shareholder services being a very important one that we provide. Many entrepreneurs are obviously shareholders of their companies, but very few understand the concept of shareholding, share structures, the different types of share classes, which the Companies Act speaks of in Section 36 of the Companies Act and Section 37. Remember, corporate governance is really driven by legislation, right? It's a very legal concept and idea that impacts anyone that is a business owner, anyone that is a director, and so on. But amongst all those various services I just kind of highlighted, the most important is by far our professional director development. And this is what I want to really speak about tonight in my attempt to do two things. A, raise awareness, give you general information of what it is to be a board member. And number two, encourage you as a woman to enter the board market, because we don't have enough women that are putting their hands up to be board members. And sadly, not because they don't have the proficiency, the expertise, competency, knowledge, but purely because there's an assumption that for you to be a director, you've got to be a certain type of an individual, someone who's got certain qualifications, etc., which is incorrect. So my aim tonight is hopefully by the end of this discussion, you can leave with a desire to serve on boards. So what do we do in the market? We develop individuals like yourselves. We provide them with training, different programs, mentorship, coaching, which we call professional director development, in an attempt to get you board ready. In a nutshell, Director Association, our vision is very simple. We want to change the boardroom, the South African boardroom. We want to diversify it. We want to bring on different types of professions, gender, race, etc. We want to bring a sense of ethics, competency, and inclusion, very, very much important in that. But where I want to start, team, is in this question of why would you want to serve on a board? Why would you choose a career as a director? And if you can see there, I use the term career purposefully, because if you plan it out, if you strategize, and if you're serious about it, it can be a secondary career, right? It can be a very illustrious career that supports your primary career. So I want to introduce you to this concept of a primary and a secondary career. Your primary career is that which you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Some of you are accountants, you're lawyers, you're entrepreneurs, you work somewhere, etc. That is your primary career. That's what brings food primarily on the table, right? That's your 9 to 5, 8 to 5, whatever the case is. A secondary career is anything that supplements your primary career. It benefits it, it adds to it, it amplifies it. Now, out of the many hundreds of secondary careers out there, none is more beneficial than serving on boards. We've done the study, we've looked at it. Why is that? The nature and design of governance, the nature and design and idea of serving on boards, the concept that you are required to only attend 4 to 5 board meetings in an entire year. This allows you to dedicate enough time focused to your primary career, but at the same time serving on another board of another company, NPO, whatever the case may be. And this is the reason why in the market we're seeing professionals, entrepreneurs serving on with rather a primary career. He or she's a CEO, he or she's a lawyer, accountant, entrepreneur, and they're also serving on like 3-4 boards because time requirements and the nature and design of governance allows. So I encourage you strongly to think of entering the board market as a way to support your primary career, because there are many benefits of being a board member. The prestige that comes with it, the recognition as a leader that comes from it. It's unprecedented. And I've seen it firsthand of individuals that had board experience getting opportunities or being looked at favorably over their other peers, competitors, etc. Number 2, broaden your expertise. One of the things I love about sitting on boards, I've sat on many boards myself, is it allows you to broaden expertise. I mean, you're going to brush shoulders with other experts. I myself am an entrepreneur. I think I'm very strategic. That's my strongest skill set. I'm a very strategic individual, very legal-minded individual. So I understand law quite well. But I'm not a finance person. I'm not a marketing person. I'm not a salesperson, HR, etc. But when I sat on boards and I brush shoulders with these are the experts, I now can tell you a thing or two about HR, right? I can tell you a thing or two about social and ethics, about finance, etc., because it allows you to broaden the expertise just purely by the individuals that you're just going to brush shoulders with. And number 3, exposure into different industries. I mean, cross-pollination of skills, professions. You can find an engineer serving on a financial services company board. You can find a marketing exec serving on a board of construction company. So it exposes you to different industries, because if you're an expert in corporate governance, companies in all different industries will want your services, regardless if you're not an expert in that field, because governance on its own is a profession. Number 4, allows you to contribute at the highest level of leadership. This is very vital. If you're an individual that is aspiring to change, you're aspiring to really play in the highest level of leadership and make decisions that impact a company and organization, you want to be on the board, because that is where crucial decisions are made, crucial board decisions are made. And I always said that if you are a person who sees yourself as a leader, you want to be in the board, which ties into point number 5, or benefit number 5. It's a means to effect change from the top, because decisions are made by a board of directors. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 individuals sitting on the board are deciding on retrenching 1,000 employees, are deciding on how do we expand and grow the business, what investments do we put, right? Which territories do we expand in, and so forth and so on. And very importantly, policies that really dictate and shape a company's behavior, shape a company's identity, are decided at board level. So if you're an individual that's got certain social agendas, right, certain items you see, such as transformation and so on, you want to drive that from the board. And number 6, I think I touched on it before, around increasing your value in the market. Because I think one of the key items that we see is that we're operating in an extremely competitive market, right? Very competitive. And I'm always asking people, how are you going to stand out amongst the many different people that are gunning for the same opportunity, the same job opportunity, the same business opportunity that you are going for? One of those things is definitely board experience. Board experience. I've seen people with CVs that write board experience, and then they've been looked at favorably. Because, you know, we hold people that serve on boards at high regard, right? There's certain prestige that comes with it. Certain prestige that comes with the prestiginess that comes with serving on boards. And it does give you a slight edge. which I've seen in myself in my career, you are now seen as a leader. You're now seen as a person who can direct, hence the term director, right? From the top, directing a company to success. And number 7, if you're an entrepreneur, you definitely want to be in the crowd or network of directors. These are the people that decide on procurement, they decide on very important items. So you want to know directors. It'll only help further your business and endeavors. Number 8 is a very interesting one that we're finding in the market, that many people around the world are utilizing boards as a retirement plan, right? After I've worked for X number of years, I'm 60, 65, I retire, but I continue serving on boards as a non-executive director, and I continue earning money. And on that earning money, number 9, second or additional income stream is very possible. Some boards do pay, some boards, not all of them, do remunerate. And if you can find a board that does remunerate, it does then provide you with an additional income stream. Now, let's talk about that fees idea. So, Tim, as you can see here, ladies, I'm just generally talking about boards and directors here, nothing specifically, to you as women. I'll touch that as we go along, and then I'll tie that into our Madam Chair initiative. Madam Chair, take the lead initiative, which really is trying to drive more women on boards. But I think what's important is we leave today, or take away today, general information, understanding of how boards work, right? Just generally, right? And if we look at the concept of fees, many people have asked if it is possible that you can make a living serving on boards alone. Is it possible that all you do is wake up and go to board meetings? The answer to that is yes. I know a number of people in the market, that's all they do. They serve on boards every morning, well, not every morning, some mornings. They wake up and go to board meetings, and they're earning some decent amount of money. One lady I know earns about 7 million rand a year serving on different boards. Now, how does she get there? You build a brand, you build a profile, you build a name for yourself, you build competency around yourself to the point where you are attractive to the market, you're sought after in the market. That's the only way, and that takes time. Ladies, a very important part of directorship in South Africa and possibly around the world is it's a long game. It's not something you wake up today and next week you are successful at it. It's a long game. And you got to be patient. You got to be strategic. You got to position yourself, align yourself with the right people, companies, etc. I always pose this question to people as, some of you are doctors, some of you are accountants, and then on the profession you have, some of you are entrepreneurs. And I say to you, how long did it take you before you succeeded? Well, as a lawyer, I had to go to school then and then. Yeah, so you're looking over a decade. Entrepreneur, yeah, no, I started my business, then after 6-7 years, then things. I was like, well, that's the same type of effort and time that it takes for you to get to a point and where you are now recognized as a professional, as a key player in the director market. And once you get there, you can have that seat or seats for the next 30, 40 years. If you look at our current directors of JSE listed company boards right now, they've been sitting on those boards for over 10, 15 years. But ask them when they got there and how they got there. They'll tell you that they had to build their career, they had to develop themselves, and et cetera, et cetera. Now, if you're talking about director fees, one of the key things that is vital is the remuneration system. And this is one of those globally understood concepts. So, a remuneration system. Anywhere you go in the world, corporate governance is corporate governance. It does not change. Sitting on boards or boards, a board is a board anywhere in the world, right? There's a chairperson, there's a non-executive, there's an executive, is all the same. Similarly, the remuneration system is all the same. This in that how are directors paid and how much are they paid? The most common remuneration system is fee per meeting attended. As it sentence says, you are paid for every meeting you attend, right? They call it a board sitting. So you attend the meeting, you get paid. You don't attend the meeting, you don't get paid. So some companies have got strict rules around if you don't attend the meeting, then you're not going to get paid. That'll differ from each company, but typically you attend a meeting, you get paid. Then the second one is a retainer system, which is a monthly type of structure, which has its pros and cons. Not so popular because if you are a director and you're on a retainer, a monthly amount, it is possible that you're going to attend more meetings in a month and still get paid a flat rate. Similarly to the company itself, there might not be a board meeting in that month, and you're still going to get, they still have to pay the director. So a fee per meeting is kind of like the generally accepted fee structure globally, and especially in South Africa, it's usually fee per meeting attended. The third one, stock options, is one that I love because it entails remuneration through shares that are offered or that are awarded to a board member after a certain period of time when they've succeeded in certain things, achieved certain things, and assisted the company. This is very common amongst small organizations that cannot afford to pay board members, directors, fees. So they will offer them stock options and say, if you achieve A after X number of years, assist the company to grow and so forth, we will then give you X percentage of the company. Very popular in the West, in the United States, in Europe, etc., and something that we as Director Association are also trying to drive in South Africa. Who decides director remuneration? Who decides how much directors are paid? Well, it's not HR. It's not HR. Why? Because directors are not employees of the company. Directors do not fall under labor law. That means if a director is fired from the board, he or she cannot go to CCMA because directors are not governed by labor legislation. Directors are governed by the Companies Act, and there's a lot of stipulation around removal of directors, the procedure thereof, and any recourse a director may take in the event that they feel that they've been, wrongly removed from a board, etc. So who decides? Well, let's look at this from the most structured governance system in South Africa, which is the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. The Johannesburg Stock Exchange has got many listed companies, as you know, and these companies are required to follow certain governance. And in that, these companies have boards, and those boards have board committees. You've probably heard of these board committees: Audit and Risk Committee, Social and Ethics Committee, Nominations Committee, Legal and Compliance Committee, and the list goes on. And one of them is the Remuneration Committee, also known as REMCO. And the REMCO has got two very important functions. Number one, REMCO creates remuneration packages for the executives, for the CEO and all the chiefs. Again, HR does not create the remuneration package for their CEO. Imagine an HR manager creating the remuneration for their boss. That would be a bit awkward. That's a function of the board. Through the remuneration committee, they will create a package that includes salary, bonuses, commission, other perks such as holiday trips, security, obviously stock options, and so forth and so on. And then that remuneration package is sent to the board of directors as a recommendation, because remember, board committees have power. In most cases, their power is limited to recommendations. You don't want a situation where a committee of the board has autonomous power. So in most cases, if not all cases, boards will give their committee's recommendation powers. That means whatever remuneration package is created by the committee, it's sent to the board as a recommendation. Then the board will meet in a board meeting and vote in a resolution to approve or to reject the recommendation of the remuneration of the executives. If the board approves, then that's how much the CEO is going to get paid. Function number 2, the remuneration committee creates packages for the directors of the company. This entails director fees, bonuses, commission, holiday trips, etc., stock options, etc., which then is sent to the board. If the board approves, it's then sent to the shareholders as a recommendation. And the shareholders at an AGM will vote to approve or to reject the remuneration that is being recommended by the board for the directors. That is why every single year, the shareholders of Sasol, for an example, will gather at a meeting of the shareholders to vote on the election of directors, the remuneration of those directors, and other key governance responsibilities that shareholders have. So, directors are elected by shareholders. Those same shareholders then decide how much those directors earn. Executives are appointed, not elected, are appointed by the board, and that same board then decides what those executives earn. The executives then employ the workforce, and that same executive decides how much those employees earn. That is corporate governance, the distribution of responsibility, authority amongst the different structures within a company. Corporate governance is merely what responsibilities do the shareholders have? What authority do they have? What responsibility does the board have? And what authority do they have? What responsibility does the executive have? What authority do they have? This is where now you get your delegation of authority framework, where we are creating a document, a framework around how much authority are we assigning to the CEO, what can he or she do within their own power, what do they have to come back to us to ask permission for. That is why every time, team, I'm sure you've heard this before, a company wants to expand or get extra money, debt, or acquire another company through its strategy of M&A, mergers and acquisition, using a leverage buyout model, the board will take that strategy and need approval by the shareholders, because the authority, the delegation of authority framework requires the board to come back to the shareholders for certain decisions. In any case, that's some of the things that we actually teach in our trainings. Okay, so how much do board members earn? So on this tip, I'm going to show you, I'm going to utilize a document that PwC rather created on an annual basis. So please give me 2 seconds. Let me look for it. I think I found it. Are you guys there? It's very quiet, very quiet. I feel like I'm talking to myself. I hope my mic hasn't been muted this whole time. Imagine that.
We can all hear you.
Super. All right, so as you can see, this is a document created by PwC, Practices and Fees Trends, released in May 2023. PwC releases this document on an annual basis. And it's analyzing fees of directors on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. So we will send you this document as well through, other information that's going to be sent to you so that you can have a browse through. So I'm just going to highlight the key items. I'm not going to go through the whole document. I'm just going to highlight the key items. And then when you do have time, please just go through. It's an interesting read. And if you're serious about your board career aspirations, it's something that you would want to know, just to kind of put your mind around what is expected of directors, what competencies are required, and what industries are most prominent on JSC, etc. So something of interest, I guess, is nationality and race, looking at diversity here. And in this study, they looked at the JSC top 100 companies. So this is by market capitalization. And of that JSC top 100 companies, there are 997 non-executive directors, of which 714 of them are South African residents, which is 7.6%. That meaning what, 28.4% are non-South African residents. Of those South African residents, which are 714, they then break the composition into 4 categories: Black, Colored, Indian/Asian, and White. So of the top 100, not the entire JSC, remember that the entire JSC has got over 400 and something companies on the main board, and then over 100 and something companies on the alternate exchange. So this is the top 100 companies by market cap. Out of those top 100 companies and their boards, 47% of those non-exec directors are white, 44% are Black, 5% Indian, and 4% colored. As you can see, representation here. Of those same 100 companies, they wanted to see how many of those are chairpersons by racial representation. 58% of the chairs of those boards are white, 37% are Black, 3% are Indian and Asian. Then we go to gender. Out of those top 100 again, 62% of non-exec directors are male, 38% are female. And out of those, 86% are chairs are male, and 14% are female. Now, these numbers are slightly distorting because if you were to study the entire JSC, these numbers would drastically increase in favor of males and decrease against females, because 19%, 18%, 20% are female representation of directors on JSC boards, 80%, 81% are male representation. And the chairpersons even fall drastically, where I think it's about 6% of chairs of boards of JSC listed companies are female. So this is one of the drivers that led us to creating the Take the Lead initiative, in that as much as we are seeing some progress in more women on boards, but very few of them are the leaders. And the Directors Association, we're not so much concerned about quantity, right? And I know it might sound kind of, the whole debate around quantity versus quality. And personally, in my view, I am a very qualitative individual, and I'm driven by it, of the quality of output, right? Rather than the quantity of it. And to me, it speaks to the leadership of the board, in that the chairs of prominent boards are still very much skewed towards white males. There's not much female participation or Black participation. So in this, we're looking at how can we increase the leaders that are of these boards to be women, right? And therefore, Madam Chair is more focused on leadership than the quantity of women on boards, though it is also important. So in our strategy, we've kind of, it's kind of changed over the years, because when it first began in 2016, it was very much around quantity. Let's just increase women that are sitting on boards. But then we saw that for effectual change, let's pivot slightly towards the leadership and those that are driving, influencing these boards And that obviously speaks to the chairs, that speaks to the deputy chairs, that speaks to the lead independent directors, and so on. So that's really what Madam Chairs. We're really trying to build a formidable group of female leaders, albeit that might be small because not everyone is a leader. So slightly moving away from quantity to quality, for example. Okay, let's skip some more items. And this is where we're actually heading, team, to the remuneration. Because we posed the question, how much directors earn? Now, in this study, they looked at the top 200. And obviously, it starts with the chair. The chairperson of a board is the highest paid director. The chair of a board is the highest paid director. Why? Because the chair does more work than the rest of the directors, is more involved, has more responsibilities. So in any board, your highest paid director will be the chair of the board. Many people confuse the role of the chair and the role of the CEO. The easiest way to remember it is that the chair is the boss, for lack of a better word, is the boss of the board. The CEO is the boss of the company. Two different things. When it's a board meeting, the chair is in charge. When it's company operations, the CEO is in charge. Even if the CEO is serving on a board as a director, the chair is in charge. So in that remuneration, then, if we look at the top 200 JSE companies, on average, a JSE listed chair of the top 200 earns on average 2.7 million rand per year. This is per year. The upper amounts being 3 million, and the lower amounts, the smaller JSE listed companies, will be 875,000 per year as a chair. As deputy chairs, 2 million is the average, 3.4 being the upper amount, and 680,000 per year for the smaller companies. Then if you're not a chairperson, you're just a non-exec director, right? Because the rest of the team, the rest of the 6, 7, 8 directors are just non-executives. They're not chairs or whatever. The average is 1.1 million. The upper amounts being 1.3 million per year and 472. So on average, if you're just a non-exec director on a JSE listed company, you're probably going to earn about 1 million rand per year. Now, what I like what they did is they also then analyzed the top 10 biggest companies by market capitalization on the JSE. And you can see the comparison from 2021 to 2022. A key element of being a director team and something we train in our trainings is analysis. You've got to have a keen eye on analyzing, right? I almost said analytics, but analytics, data analytics is also a very important part of today's business. But you got to have a keen eye on analysis, an ability to analyze certain data. I'm not saying figures, right? Because analysis is not only in numbers, which many assume that you got to have finance expertise. And analyzing just purely the drop-off of employees attending or coming to work in a month in certain times of the week versus any other time of the year. That's an analysis, which you can pick up to say, why is it that, for an example, there's never a day within the company that all employees were present? That's an analysis. I seen in this chart that there's always 93% present workforce. Why is that? That's a question now we're asking. Should we look at morale? Should we look at certain areas? Why do we never have that's an analysis? So in any case, team, 2021, 2022, BHP Group Limited, the mining company, is the biggest company by market capitalization. These are what we call super caps on the JSE, right? If we now start going into finance and looking at valuation based on market cap, these are your super caps. And in that, the chairpersons of those boards on average earn 14.4 million rand per year, the higher amounts being 14.7, and on average, low amounts, being 16.72. Now, the highest paid chairperson last year was the chairperson of AB InBev, the alcohol beverage company, and that individual earned 22 million rand last year for attending 5-6 board meetings, doing some work in between. And I have it on good authority that that individual has a primary career, right? He's got a 9 to 5. He's got something else, and they're also serving on other boards. Because once you get your career going, you can serve on multiple boards. When the doors of opportunity open, the floodgates can open, really. And if you're a non-executive director, not a chair or vice chair, you're looking at an average of 3.4 million a year, the higher amounts being 4.8 million and the lower amounts being 1.7 million per year. For you to get to these figures, it needs strategy, it needs building your brand, building your competency, understanding your strengths, marketing yourself, aligning yourself with key individuals so that you can really grow in the profession, find opportunities, and so on. So team, this document will be shared with you. Let's go back to our slide. And if we look at the rest of the market, it's not as structured as the JSE. The data is not as readily available as the JSE. As you know, JSE companies are required to disclose information because they're publicly traded companies. Hence, we've got those figures. Small business, on the other hand, are not required to disclose that information. So we don't really know how much small businesses pay. There's just an average of between 1,000 to 15 to 20,000. If the small business actually does pay anything. Your mid-sized businesses, again, anywhere from 15,000 to 120,000 per meeting. Again, this information that's not readily available because they don't disclose this information because they're not required to. Public sector, though, contrary to popular belief, public sector does pay decently. You find that, and these are figures that are publicly available through Treasury's website and so on. Treasury does have guidelines in terms of how much directors of state-owned companies earn. Dudumieni earned about 4.3 million rand when she was the chair of South African Airways a few years ago. And finally, obviously, a non-profit organization where, in most cases, voluntary. Now, Tim, a very important question around time requirement. How much time is required to serve on a board? That's a question you've got to answer to yourself. How much time can you devote to your primary career and serving on other boards? You don't want to do a disservice to either, right? You want to be able to fully commit to your primary career, be it you're working in government, working at a corporate, your own business. And at the same time, if you're serving on boards, you also want to do justice to those boards. Hence, on average, a person who's got a 8 to 5 probably serves on 2 boards or 3 boards. And gone are the days where you can serve on 20 boards. That just is not practical. The Companies Act changed in 2008, and the accountability and legal liability that directors can face has required directors to be more attentive and be present as directors. In the past, we had this notion that directors are advisors. It's not the case anymore. It's not the case. If you study law, it's very difficult for an advisor to be punished by law, for lack of a better word, right? So if we study law, you'll find that an advisory capacity, which is usually a recommendation, cannot be legally held to you because it was only advice. So the concept of an advisor as a board member no longer applies. A director has got a fiduciary duty that is not advisory. It's a legally binding responsibility, a legally binding duty to the company to act in the best interests of the company, as Section 76 of the Companies Act explicitly tells us around your duty to the company and to act in the interests of the company. Being present in making decisions that drive the company, and failure to do so, consequences that are stipulated within the law. Hence, we find Dudumeni, she was taken to court for her actions as the chair of the South African Airways board, and she was found guilty, and she's now a delinquent director and has been barred from serving on any board in the country. She can no longer be a director of any company board. So, time requirement, you have to make that decision. Another key decision you got to think of is, well, not the key decision, however, but disclose. If you work for corporate, government, etc., you've got to disclose. You got to tell your supervisor, hey, I'm going to go serve on that board. Many employers are happy to see their employees serve on other boards because it does allow them, their employees to, to gain experience, to leadership positions, etc. And number two, make sure there's no conflict of interest, because you cannot serve on a board of a competing company. So let's say I worked at F&B, let's just say, then I wouldn't be able to serve on an ABSA board, right? Because that's a competing company in the same industry. What about this very important question of qualifications? The question that many people have, it's been sold to us that for you to be director, you've got to be of a certain caliber, MBA, chartered accountant, etc. And that begs the question, what qualifications do you need for you to be a director? And the answer to that question is a resounding none whatsoever. The Companies Act, the legislation, does not stipulate any minimum qualification for you to be a director. It doesn't. There's nowhere in the Companies Act that says that for an individual to be a director, they must have such qualification. I can prove that if I was going to ask any of you who have companies and you've registered companies through CIPC, the agency of the DTI that incorporates companies, when you registered your company and you elected yourself as a director, because you're the founder, you're the shareholder, did CIPC ask you for qualifications? No, it didn't. That tells you that there are no qualifications to be eligible to be a director. However, the Companies Act then further says it allows each company to dictate criteria for its directors. So every company has the right to say what qualifications do they want for their directors. And now that's an individual determination by each company. That's why when Investec is looking for non-executive directors, they will say, we as Investec, we want someone with such qualifications, but that's what only Investec is looking for. That's not the industry standard. Very big difference. So whenever an opportunity arises, all you've got to determine is whether you fit within the criteria of what is being asked in terms of qualifications. What about age? Is there a preferred age for sitting on boards? No, there isn't. There used to be. There was a time where the older you were, the more ready the market perceived of you to start serving on boards. The average age of JSE-listed board members is 56. We are now, however, starting to see younger directors. When we say young director, we're talking about someone who's between the ages of 30 to 45. If you're in that age bracket, you are considered as a young director, And it's always a great time to start, right, your director career in that 30 to 45 age group, because that's the time where you can learn, practice, get yourself into understanding what it means to be a director. Start serving on boards, volunteering to serve on boards, just to build your competency and so on. So we are starting to see, even on JSE boards, people that are 37, 38, 41 serving on boards, because it's now turning into or moving away from the number, which is age number, 57, 60, etc., to more of maturity. Do you have the maturity to make decisions unemotional decisions that are in the interest of the company. That's what it's about today. So what do you bring to the table? Because at the end of the day, it's a competitive market. The director market is a niche market. It's a small market. Directors out, they know each other. When opportunities come up, they are usually within the network. Hence, it's important to grow your network. And at the end of the day, it's what do you bring to the table? And sometimes people always argue or ask rather that, well, you know, it's about networking and and you know who you know, etc. And I said, well, that can only carry you to a certain place. That can only carry you so far. And at some point you'll be found out. And many people have been found out. They got opportunities because they knew someone, etc. But eventually we can know, no, this person doesn't know what they're doing. This person doesn't understand what they're doing. Especially at the highest level of boards, there's no hiding. There is no hiding if you're serving on a JSE listed company, but there's a certain competency that is necessary and a certain understanding that you need to have, certain skill set that you need to have. So what you've got to do is just build your competency, build your knowledge base, grow yourself so that you know what you bring. And that takes time. Remember, we did say this is a long game. And what you want to do is be an expert in your field. And that's on you to make sure you're good at what you do, your profession. If you're in marketing, be good at it. If you're in law, understand the law. If you're in accounting, understand your finance and you're in accounting. Be good at what you do. There is no room for incompetency. Incompetence. Unnecessary, right? We don't want that. So if you need to polish up your skill, polish up your profession, do that, right? Study more, go back to school, get more experience, whatever it is. But make sure you know your stuff. We rely on you on the board to assist and guide and drive us in certain topics because you're the expert. So I said it earlier on, I'm not a finance expert, but I do know fairly a lot about finance. I mean, I've really given myself to study it, but I never call myself an expert in finance. When I'm sitting on a board and we're talking finance, I'm always going to lean on the financial experts because that's how our board works. We're a team and we lean on each other's expertise. So when we're talking finance or if we're talking IT, technology, right? The person that's been brought on, who's the tech expert, we are looking at them to say, okay, guide us, because that's your place. That's your profession. So be good at what you do. Number two, understand governance. That's where companies like Direct Association come into play. We will educate, train, develop you into corporate governance. Number three, generally understand the area of the business. That's the modern board member. The modern board member has business acumen. You can have a meaningful discussion in any topic. We're not saying you've got to be an expert in everything. That's obviously impossible. We're saying you've got to be able to throw your 2 cents, right, into every discussion. How else are you going to vote in a resolution if you don't have a general understanding of that topic? So when you start talking about HR, you can ask the right questions. When a tech firm is pitching, converting our manual processes into automation and digitization, you're able to ask, well, what is the cybersecurity around that? What does the POPI say? Are we going to be able to competently protect the information of our employees, customers, stakeholders, etc.? That's the job of a director. That's oversight. You're asking the right questions because you generally understand every area. And then finally, number four, board etiquette. So important. Soft skills, the ability to converse, the ability to speak, the ability to put your point across, the ability to debate, to respectfully argue. All those core things are important. Put your point across. No, team, I'm not saying be eloquent. I don't know why people think directors must be eloquent and speak brilliant Oxford English. This is not an English speaking contest. No? All we need you to do is to put your point across. What are you saying? What do you mean? Concisely to the point. That's what we're looking for. In your broken English, we don't care. As long as I've understood what you're saying, it's fine. And that's what soft skills are. I've seen very technically gifted people who are unable to put their point across, and all their book smart and their ability to analyze and so on actually helps nothing, because when it comes to the board meeting where we're now debating and arguing and etc., they can't stand their ground. They can't put the point across. So the good thing about this team is that these are things that are taught. No one is born with that confidence and their ability. It's taught, it's learned, it's practice. You identify the weakness, you learn, you practice, you build yourself until you're good, until you're very good. It takes patience, takes time. So where do you begin? Team, as I'm about to close, then I'll bring you into for questions. Where to begin? So if you're saying today, Munya, I hear you, this sounds interesting. Where do we start? Well, I'm going to tell you from a Directors Association perspective and our Madam Chair initiative. And obviously, since it's August Women's Month, we do have great discounts for our programs and so on. It really starts with development and training and just foundational understanding of what corporate governance is. No matter what profession you're in, right? If you want to be a board member, you've got to educate yourself into how boards work. So what we have created at Directors Association is a number of developmental programs that speak to an individual's path or where they are in their director career. As you can see, there are a vast number of programs. However, I want to speak only around the professional director program, which is the foundational program, which is a program that is for anyone that has never served on a board before. I mean, if today was the first time hearing corporate governance, this is definitely a program for you. Once you finish that, then you have the ability to do these other programs, right? JSC program, this one, qualified director, certified chair, if you want to be a chair of a board, and so forth and so on. So the professional director program is what I want to speak to you today. Whenever we have these talks, we always go in with the assumption that the greater percentage of the audience has not been exposed to general governance concepts and so on. Yes, there was always going to be maybe 15% who say, look, I did this in school, I did this at VIDS, or whatever it is, which is on average. Now, professional director program, it's our flagship program, it's our foundational program, and it comes in 3 steps. It starts with training. In this training, we are training an individual on all things director related. The modules, as you can see on your right-hand side, what is a board member? What is a director, rather? The concept of a juristic person, the different types of companies, liability of directors, board committees, governance framework, etc., etc. And this training is over 1 month. It's very short, 1 month. And there are 2 options: boardroom training or online training. We've been renovating our boardroom, so we're not doing any in-person training right now. Our offices are across Sandton Convention Center. Hence, I'm sure you heard some of the police sirens and all. The Break Summit is right across us there. Very eventful week. A lot of police presence. I've never seen so many police people in my life. In any case, so all our trainings right now are online. So on the bottom, the option B, 4 webinar training sessions online like this, on Zoom like this. Each session is 3 hours, once a week on a Saturday morning. Spread over 4 weeks, totaling 4 weeks, not 5. Apologies for that. And that is the online version of it. And every month we have a different intake the August intake actually concludes this Saturday, and then we start the September intake. On average, every intake is about 30 people, 20 to 30 people. The numbers go up. Sometimes it's more than 30, but usually 20-ish, 25, etc. Obviously, we also give you textbooks and other study material, training material for that training. And then the cost of it, now, I said earlier on, because it is Women's Month, we've got some great specials. So usually this training is 12,500, usually. However, we are giving it at a discount of 7.5. So for August Women's Month, the ladies will only pay 5,000 Rand, August special. Now, this 5,000 you can pay, then you can decide when you want to start, right? You don't have to start in September. I know next intake for September is on the 9th of September. So you can actually decide to start in November if you want, right? I'll show you the online form that you have to fill in to enroll, which has got the entire schedule. So ladies, this is a Women's Month special at 5,000 Rand for the training. And this allows you obviously to go through the entire training itself. Now, once the training is done, then you've got an option. At this stage, you can say to yourself, all I needed or wanted was training, full stop. I just wanted to understand what it means to be a director. Or you will say, look, I want more than that. I want a professional designation. I want to be recognized as a professional director. If that's you, then, so after everyone has done the training, you get attendance certificates, right? Everyone gets an attendance certificate. But beyond that, if you want something more than that, then you write board exams. These board exams then are step 2, which we are assessing. Do you understand governance, stuff that you're taught? This is the path towards professional designation, right? We are a professional body. Professional bodies operate like SICA. I think all of us know SICA. Let me use that as an example, right? For you to be a CA, you need to belong to SICA, the professional body. And you got to write board exams and then, right? So same thing. So if you want the designation of a professional director, you do your board exams. That comes at a separate fee of 2,200 Rand to do all your assessments that are also online. Once you're done with that, and these assessments are in the following month. Remember, as I said, this is a short course. So let's say you start in September with your training, then October, you're now doing your exams. If you do a training in November, then your exams are going to be in January, because December we kind of, take a break. And then the final step is professional designation, right? You get your professional designation that obviously comes with your membership fee. Remember earlier on, we said we are a membership-driven organization. And annually, your membership fee is 3,000 Rand on an annual basis. Now, what does this give you? Very, very important. We are not about just training. It's not about training. Training is what allows you to be a member, because we don't take membership of people that don't understand corporate governance. So if you want to be, even if you desire and you have the money to be a member, but you've never or don't understand governance, we can't take you, right? Because all our members are directors, professional directors, qualified directors, and so forth and so on. Now, once you have that, the various member benefits, and the most important one, obviously, is placement on boards, because we only place our members. That's one of our key strict rules. And if you have never served on a board, let's say you've never ever served on a board, you are required, you're forced to serve on a small business board as a volunteer. That you have no option. You might be asking, where do we get these boards? So what we've done over the years is we've really worked hard to build relationships with small business chambers. NYDA is one of our partners, SACI, South African Chamber of Industry and Commerce, and they provide us with businesses. These businesses are looking for directors, are looking for volunteers, because you're going to volunteer on that board for 12 months minimum and a maximum of 3 years so that you can gain experience. We don't put your name forward for a paying board if you've never served on a board. That's one of our policies. It's one of our rules. We get companies that call us and ask us, we're looking for a director, we're going to pay them 20,000 Rand per meeting. If you have never served on a board, we don't put your name forward. because you've got to start with development, which is volunteering. Now, let's say you've already served on a board before, then you don't have to volunteer. We just do an assessment and then you move on from there. So each person obviously would have different requirements. Secondly, networking. I said earlier on, very important networking. We host a regular monthly networking events because it's vital that you meet other directors. So through some of our other sponsors like Alan Gray, we host monthly events where we invite keynote speakers, JSC directors, they come speak to our members and just kind of encourage them, give them experiential advice around being a board member, state-owned company directors, stuff like that, right? I think that's quite key. We've got a fantastic event for our female members that's on the 2nd of September. That's really going to empower, train, talk, encourage, etc. That's happening in Midrand, I think it is. So those events are extremely vital in ensuring networking and so on. And the other host of benefits that I won't bore you with at this stage. So in closing, team, before I bring you in for any discussion, we are also going to send you an enrollment form, which looks something like this. Let me just quickly show you. And then you can take any questions you might have, and then we'll be done. So this is what you will get at the with this recording. I'm pretty sure this recording shall be sent to you. And this is the professional director enrollment form. Basic information, name, surname, etc. If you served on a board before and so on. And very importantly, here, you're going to say when you want to. So we've only got 3 intakes left for the year. So you choose which year you want to intake. And obviously that August discount is there, which is that 5,000. When you submit this to us, then we'll contact you and then we can take it from there. All right, team. I think that's all from my side. Madam Chair, we're really trying to increase women on boards and furthermore develop women into leaders to lead the boards. And that's really what Madam Chair is about. Once you are a member of Directors Association, then you have an opportunity to become part of Madam Chair. So that's something that will come later as well. But the core of it is our mandate to ensure that there are more leaders that are taking the lead, women that are taking the lead on boards. Any questions? I think I can take any questions. I don't see anyone chats on the chats. I don't see any questions on the chats. Does anyone have any question? Yes, go ahead, Hadi. Apologies if I mispronounce it.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Fine. Thank you for interesting information. I think the presentation was great. However, I have a plea. I am interested in attending the program. So I just wanted to check with you if I want to take advantage of the August special and I don't have the total amount right now. Are you able to do arrangements? Let's say maybe I pay half and then when I get money, I pay the rest to take advantage of the special. Do you have arrangements like that?
Yes, definitely. We've done that in the past. I'm not going to say it's going to guarantee it can happen, but we've done that in the past. So when you get that email from us later on, you can then respond with that request, and that goes to everyone. Right? So yes, we've done that in the past too, and yeah, not a problem.
Oh, okay. You're open to negotiate. Thank you so much.
100%. Amina says, what are the qualifications / experience required to run the program? So for this program, we don't require a minimum qualification because this is our foundational program. The rest of our programs, such as the JSC program, the chairs program, that's when we start requiring either qualifications or board experience. So, for example, one of the requirements to do the listed company director program is you got to have an honors degree. If you don't have that, then you've got to show that you've served on a board for at least 3 years. So there's always a balance between experience versus the knowledge you might have gained through your studies, MBAs, whatever the case is. Yep. Hey, Tim, I don't see any other question. Delisili, oh, thank you for your comment. Great presentation. Glad you enjoyed. As I said, team, the purpose is to knowledge, right? To raise awareness. So even if you don't enter the market now, at least if you leave tonight knowing that there is a career in directorship, you might start next year or 2 years' time. We just really need to spread the word of such information. Yolisa, go ahead.
Hi, Munya. Great presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Last year, learning a lot. I just wanted to find out from in the communications, industry, what trends are you seeing in that space in terms of? I mean, I've seen like posts where they're looking for for people to sit on the board, and they're looking for people within communication, but what's generally the trend around there, or what are they generally looking for?
Okay,
I'm not.
super. So,
Yeah.
yeah, Yolisa, thank you. I get a question. So I don't know if I say fortunately or unfortunately, but many industries have got this old concept of looking for directors based on the success one has had in their industry.
Yeah.
Even though that person has got no experience in boards whatsoever. So unfortunately, we find a lot of boards that are filled with people that succeeded in their profession, but are clueless in how a board runs. Therefore, we get all these things that are happening in state-owned companies and so on. So that's what we see. We usually find people that are very successful, financially or otherwise, and they are seen as the right people to serve on boards. When we go in to consult such companies, obviously try and educate and say, look, you rather find people with governance understanding and so on. So slowly but surely, we are starting to see a turn or a difference in the approach and or what they're looking for, and that a separation between or a separation from your profession and the profession of serving on boards, because those are two different things. If you are a good lawyer, doesn't mean you're going to be a good board member. If you're a marketing exec, communications expert, doesn't mean because the board is its own entire idea. That's why we're training people that, yes, it's good you're a communications expert. However, if you want to be a good board member, you've got to go through the requisite education, training, etc., that will make you a good board member who comes with communication expertise.
Yeah, I guess, I'm also asking because, within communication, there's the trend towards, sustainability is across the board, but it's the same even with communication around, your corporate social investments and how an organization is building itself, on many levels, with sustainability at the core. So I was just interested and wondering if corporate communication is still the thing.
No, it is. No, definitely. It's still needed. We're seeing a more diverse board today, more than ever. In the past, boards were full of finance experts and some legal experts. What we're starting to see now is diversity of skill. So not just diversity of gender or race, but a diversity of skill, which is good, right? We're starting to see different expertise coming in. All right, team.
Thank you so much. That's really helpful.
Super, super, super. Okay, I don't see any other question. So ladies, thank you. Let me show my face again so that you at least know who was speaking to you. Right, so again, my name is Munya Duvera. I'm the chair of the Directors Association Board. And thank you once again for joining us. Oh, I do see one more question. Noreen, apologies for mispronunciation. Great information and presentation. Thank you. How long is your course in September? So it's always 1 month, right? It's 4 sessions, and then there's exams, which is another month. And then there's the another month where you do practicals and so on. So you're looking at 3 months, right? You're looking at really around 3 months to cover everything, and then you're done. Yeah. All right, ladies, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. And
oh, okay. I think if there's any other questions, then we can wrap up. Thank you everyone for joining, and I'm sure we're all ready to lead at some point or sit on a board at some point. Munya, if you don't mind adding your details to the chat, that would be great. So whoever wants to contact you afterwards may do so. Yeah, but thank you all for joining. If that's all, then I wish you all have a lovely weekend. Oh, yes, and if you can send the enrollment form in the chat as well, that would be great.
okay, so do we not have everyone's emails when they logged in for the session?
We do, but I think if you want to add it in the chat, that would be
okay. It's fine. So I'm going to put our email, which is our info one. That's that one there. And then let me also put, so let me put this enrollment form as well, and then fill that in, depending on whatever you're looking for, and then we'll contact you from there. Just put your email address, details, etc. There it is there, and then we'll contact you and we'll have a chat, etc. So put your email address in that form and etc.
Okay, and if anyone wants to rewatch the presentation, you may do so on our Linktree account. I have sent in the link in the chat, but if you need it, you are more than welcome to contact me. I will put in my details in the chat too, and then I will send it directly to you. Okay, sorted. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining. I hope that you all enjoyed the presentation, because I know I did. It's very informative. So thank you everyone, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you everyone. Have a good night.
Bye.
Life is a journey. We are all traveling. Kure kwanda kabai koi koi koi. Here I have been traveling. Life is a journey. We are still traveling. Kure kwandi doyentai koi koi. We are all still traveling. Kanango mayorira natso terera iwe. Voda izirango mena tso pembera. Upenye udukuduku mwanawe. Break a leg, my friend. Kanango mayorira natso terera. Kanango mayorira natso terera iwe. Voda izirango mena tso pembera. Upenye udukuduku mwanawe. Break a leg, my friend. Kanango mayorira natso terera. Life is a journey. Yeah, we are all traveling. Gure kwanda kabai koi koi koi. Here I have been traveling. Whole life is a journey. We are still traveling. Gure kwati no endai koi koi. Yeah, we are all still traveling. Kanango mayorira natso terera iwe. Voda izirango mena tso pembera iwe. Upenye udukuduku mwanawe. Break a leg, my friend. Kanango mayorira natso terera iwe. Kanango mayorira natso terera iwe. Voda izirango mena tso pembera. Upenye udukuduku my friend, kanango mayorira nazo terera iwe. Traveling, I have been traveling. We're still all traveling. Yes, I have been traveling, 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 traveling.